a significant settlement here at the time that the Funan descriptions were written. Now her attention has turned to the waterway complex.
Yeah.
So, how's it going with the canals? You've been working on them now for some time, haven't you?
We have, and the reason we have is because part of understanding this Funan is determining whether Funan really was a maritime trade-based empire that the historians think it was. If that's the case, then Angkor Barai could have been an inland capital that was sending goods down to the coast. So one way to try to test that is to look at these ancient canals and to figure out how old they are, and also whether they have the dimensions capable of carrying boats that would have been loaded with provisions heading to the south.
Surveying the huge and complicated Angkor Barai site is essential to the success of the research. Miriam has invited Charles to see for himself how this vital process is going. Today they're heading for an outlying area, accessible only by boat. It's a chance for Charles to see the canals at first hand.
We'll probably go down this excavated canal, correct, Angkor, and then drop down this way, drop south.
And that's this way, is it over here?
That's right.
Okay.
This is a new site, and to the untutored eye, it's just a field. But this is where years of training pay off. For archaeologists, the tiniest signs indicate what's hidden beneath the soil. A series of careful measurements confirm their first impressions.
This is very exciting for me, not having been here before.
Corner of the mud.
Vertical angle is negative 1.5 degrees and horizontal angle is 342 degrees and 10 minutes.
Okay. When we got to this site 3 days ago, we saw that actually there's a complex of 4 separate mounds, each of which is surrounded by a moat. And in the center of 3 of the mounds, we also found remains of collapsed brick structures. Based on those brick structures, most of which were looted, and the recovery of ceramics, we think that the site could date between around AD 300 and 800.
Again, the dates fit with the Chinese accounts of Funan. At another Angkor Barai site, where excavation is already advanced, the team have found some crucial new evidence that Charles is keen to see.
And we were invited by the district to excavate a unit here. When we did that, we encountered an area here of fill which seems older, perhaps older than AD 500. And directly underneath there, we found a cemetery. The cemetery is obvious in this section because you can see bones sticking out of the section here and also here. We found several kinds of pottery throughout this whole sequence at the top. We had some fragments of kendi, yes.
The kendi pottery is significant. It comes from Sri Lanka and is evidence of a long-distance sea trade.
The appearance corresponds with the appearance of Buddhism or some Indic religion in Southeast Asia.
So this came on the heels of trade, basically?
Everywhere that we see this along the coast of the South China Sea, we think that we've got evidence of interaction with South Asia.
Yep. And so what about jewelry? Did you find any jewelry?
We did find some. Not so many stone beads, but we did find glass beads like these.
Yes. Yes, these are almost identical with the ones that we find way up in northeast Thailand.
Some technical studies that we've done recently suggest that the beads themselves may have been made in the Mekong Delta, but the remaining question is whether the glass was made in the Mekong Delta or whether cullet was brought in from South Asia, perhaps as ballast.
Yes, it seems to me that either way you've got definite Indian influence coming in with glass.
Here was the evidence that trade goods from India were commonplace at Angkor Barai at just the time reported for Funan. And the canals at Barai that so closely resemble those described for Funan? Miriam has been working on dating them too.
Have you managed to date the canals yet?
Well, we haven't dated this canal segment, but we have dated a short canal segment that runs from Angkor Boré down to Phnom Boré. And we found that its initial construction was around 2,000 years ago, and about 1,500 years ago it seems to have filled up, and people no longer used it.
That's perfect dating for Funan, isn't it?
It is.
The research has shown that Angkor Boré had been a thriving center, trading with India and beyond even before the 3rd century AD. It's now almost certain that this was indeed the lost city of Funan, and that this culture formed the foundation of the rich and complex Angkor civilization that followed.